you're excused. Cause you're always late, overweight, and totally rude, honey.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome back to the Creatively Unworthy Podcast, episode number 5. Oh my god,
Is it
so
really?
many of these now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that's creative.
Yeah.
So this podcast, what this podcast is really about, it's um, it's about and what we're going to discuss today are the problems of being a creative person during this pandemic. And I guess we can just like jump right into that without having to explain
Yeah.
what it all means, right?
What are some of the creative things you're doing during
Me?
the pandemic, Dad?
I just did one today. I'm redoing my son's truck paint, and I really got into it. Where if you saw his truck right now, it's completely sanded down. I finished the sanding, and the hood and the roof and some other parts of it that were, he's a lifeguard, so he's down at the beach, and all of that weather has just boiled his clear coat off. And so I found on YouTube a really creative guy that shows you, how to do all this, there's a lot of these how to do videos, and I've just like memorized it. And here's what's happened out of doing this. First of all, I'm tired, which is great because I'm usually never not tired. I'm tired from sitting at home, but I'm physically tired from doing something. It gives me purpose, meaning for the day. I'm doing something cool for my son. We're bonding. And yesterday I finished sanding, and he invited me in for dinner, and he made stay. I mean, it's just like, whoa, Kristen's seen a big change in him with me through this project, just a simple project.
Wow.
I try to write, and that doesn't seem to work very good. It's like
I
you think,
mean,
oh, I've got all this free time. I'll just finish that screenplay. But it seems like I do better when I've got a deadline or I have very little time. But I've just found help, and Kristen knows more about this than anybody, helping other people. When you do that, your mind is off yourself and all of the things that go along with it. And you get to be creative. And I got to be creative in doing this simple project. I'm painting, I'm sanding. It's really been really fun.
It's
it's-
awesome.
Okay.
yeah.
What
And
about you?
that's interesting that you said that that you feel like you have all this time but you haven't really gotten to work on your screenplay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's a total like ADHD thing where it's almost funner to be creative when it's technically considered you're being distracted by doing something. And when you have all the time in the world, it's like, well, I have to do this and this and this and this.
There's another part of it that's really important. When you have all the time in the world, there's no dopamine. When you're crammed, it's like, finals, and you got to cram the night before. When I have very little time and I'm busy, my brain is creating dopamine, and dopamine is the pleasure chemical, is one of the pleasure chemicals. Not chemicals, but new, whatever the term is.
I think it's a chemical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a chemical that you make in your brain. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that very thing last episode, about, some of the boundaries that I've been putting up is specifically for that reason, because when I don't have any time, that's when I want to draw the most, or that's when I want to play music the most, is when I have something else to do that I know I should be doing. But I'm like, but I'm so inspired right now. It's like I have to figure out how to trick myself into getting that. Oh yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to like cancel this other plan if I want to get into it. It's tricky. But I get what you're saying.
It's almost like staying in the motions is kind of like, I don't know, what gets people inspired to write and draw and make music and do all that other beautiful stuff. Because like you're moving and you're out and about. It's like making you look at all these other things in the world and move your concentration.
You know, I went down and I just saw Kristen. I drove down, and all we did was spend a few hours on the beach, and then I drove back. Hmm?
Topanga Beach.
Topanga Beach, and I drove back, and it was great. We had a great time. I got to see my daughter, and blah 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 blah. And we had lunch, and I drove back. Well, on the way back, I'm listening to books on tape, and I'm listening to a couple really good ones, and I was really inspired. And I'm telling you, by the time I got back, because it's like a 5.5 hour drive, I was super high. Just like I I am so excited that I can't wait to start. I know exactly. I started a new screenplay, and I've already got it outlined in my mind, and it came out of that trip, out of driving back. I went through every single scene and how I'm going to do it. Now I haven't started on it. I haven't started writing. Yes, I have. I've got oh, here it is. I pinned this up. It's Recondo the movie.
Oh,
Now the very first book I ever wrote is called Recondo, and it's about this special forces school that that I went to when I was in Vietnam. And what's interesting about that school is not only was it physically demanding, like Army Rangers go to it, and Navy SEALs and Special Forces and Marine Force Recon. It's 3 weeks. But here's what's interesting about the school: you can get killed as a student. We'd run in the morning. We had to do like a 12-mile run through town carrying our rifles and our low, all of our uh, ammo and stuff.
sand in your pack too.
Oh yeah, and we had to put. Then they had put a pack on our back, and it was in sandbag that weighed 30 pounds. So you had to run with 30 pounds,
Ooh.
12 miles, with your boots, with all your equipment, carrying your rifle, and through town. So
Good Lord.
you get shot going through town. Anyway, so I wrote this book, and it became mandatory reading for Army Rangers. So I stayed at my friend's house after I visited Kristen. He goes, "Yeah, you should write that book." I mean, we watched this war movie I like, Tropic Thunder. With Nancy Miller. I think it's so funny. I think it's one of the funniest movies of Vietnam war movies.
Funny? Is it like
With Ben Stiller, right?
inaccurate?
And still, it's a movie about a movie. It's a movie about making the movie. And I just went, oh my God, I want that. It got me all inspired, But anyway, that came out of that trip,
Yeah.
just so you never know. I mean, I could have bitched about it. I could, oh my gosh, I got to drive 6 hours down, see Kristen
Yeah.
just to spend one day, and then I turn around and drive all the way back. And, and by the way, she let me use the guitar I gave her for her Christmas present, but I don't have a guitar, so she's lending it back.
Oh, that's nice.
But so it was a real creative time. I got the guitar, I got the movie plot, we got to see each other,
Yeah.
So even these little trips, and people want to get out of the house, for those of us that, in this process of being, creating the things we want to do, it's like, do it, because you don't know what will come out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Word.
And now the work will start, but
Bring the body and the mind will follow.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, something like that.
I feel like so many people feel like art, you go into a room, you lock yourself in there, and you get into your box and you just print out whatever comes to your mind, just like
I know
instantly.
they have no idea, do they?
Yeah.
People,
And it makes it hard for people like us, because then you have this idea in your head that I shouldn't need to go anywhere to be creative, but it's like you're only going to be creative if you go and see the world and bring that back into your art,
yeah.
like
gives you a wider range of topics to make art
Yeah.
about too.
Well, there's also the problem that I've experienced is I think everybody is like me. I think everybody's creative. I think everybody can sit down and write a book or a treatment, just, crank it out, 300 page. Okay. I think that's like everybody can outline, everybody can come up with a great outline. And what I made a career as being a ghostwriter because I figured out that most people can't do it. So I would charge them a bunch of money and, you know, and offer them a guarantee. If I don't get this thing written and published, you should have your money back. And it put pressure on me, which was great because it creates dopamine, but it also kind of put me up on the mat, put me, like I started seeing, oh my God, like I had a guy from, I've had a lot of people that have hired me that are graduates from Harvard and Yale and all these prestigious universities. And I remember this one guy when I got through and I was like, wow, you're really not that smart. I mean, I think, he's smart, he's book smart, but he's not creative smart. And I used to think everybody could do what I do. And so
yeah.
this really comes also to the term creatively unworthy. So I would discount my abilities down because I thought, well, it's everybody could do it.
You're not
But
Harvard guy, so obviously,
I'm not a Harvard person, so I have no value.
There was a creative aptitude test that was done a while ago where I think it was just a survey of America, but something like only around like 38% of the population has an aptitude to be creative, and then the rest of everybody else, nothing at all. Like you don't
Wow.
have any.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't that the weirdest thing?
yes, and I
It
heard
was
that.
done by a group of psychologists.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up, but
No, I think it's worse than that. I think it's way worse. It's like 10% of the population, not 30.
oh yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Like
And so this really comes back to my whole metaphor about hunters and farmers. And that is, we're the hunter. We get the hunter brain. We're like, the creative brain, the farmer brain, not farmers like in the true sense, but the farmer is somebody like an accountant, somebody you can take really boring things and sit there and figure things out, or a doctor who it's not boring, but they've got this great mind that they can figure out how to they can do an operation and they've learned it. You don't ever have, like, they would never hire me to like ad lib an operation on your heart. That's not going to be a creative endeavor.
well, apparently, according to my dad, the top of the class guys in medical school bombed
Her
out
dad's a
of being
doctor,
in the
but
physical practice.
her dad's an eye doctor, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah, he said the top of the class guys completely failed being in like the medical ward. Like they just like would miss people being dead in the bed next to them because they
Oh
just
yeah.
they can't think creatively. And when something's going wrong in your body and all your arteries are going everywhere and blood's going everywhere, like you need that creative aptitude to think on your feet to know what's going to
Problem
happen.
solve.
Well,
And
there's
some guys would just freeze, and then the patient would just, be gone because
yeah.
Yeah.
they just freak out. They're like, "Oh my god, I don't know what to do."
And
Yeah.
that's got a hunter brain, like the ability to act in that life or death situation is pretty big hunter characteristic, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
At the core of hunter is kill or be killed,
Yeah.
provide for your pack.
I've got a good a friend that lives in Ojai, and he had his own private practice for years, and he was bored out of his mind, and he got rid of his private practice and turned it over to his partner, and he went into the emergency ward. I mean,
Wow.
EI, whatever it's called, the emergency thing, and he'd be up, loves it because there's like somebody's coming in, they got a knife wound and, or a gunshot thing, it's 3 a.m, and you got to save the person's life, and, or there's been a bicycle accident, the guy's, hand is on his, almost cut off, and he's got to put it back
On a
together.
rush.
So it's like dopamine, constant flow of dopamine. And he deliberately left his private practice to do something that, that's almost like volunteering to going into the special forces,
It put him
Yeah.
on the mat, like
So
you were
there's,
saying.
Yeah.
And I
Is-
bet the kids in class that could recite the textbook by heart wouldn't want to go back into the ER because they'd be like, oh my god.
it's a different part of the brain
Yeah.
Something you can't read about. Like
yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I have this theory that when things get really difficult, like times of war, that's when they need the hunter brain. That's when they need us the most. When things are calm, then, which really things have been, we really haven't been in any big, I mean, we've been in these wars that you hardly even hear about in Iraq and Afghanistan, even though we've been, what happened? Something just went on my screen. Am I there?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see anything.
Uh, at the bottom, is there a tab that has like a blue camera?
Yeah.
Click on that.
No, it says Magic Quadrant of Meeting Solutions. Read this report. So
And we're back, folks.
and we're back.
Technical difficulty.
Somebody, I was ragging on farmers, and then one of the farmers got me. Cha-ching. But I believe that
They're finding you.
it's 10% is that percentage. It's the same, that percentage is like 10%. And it's also the same percentage of dyslexic in our culture.
I can
Um,
believe that.
what was I going to say?
You were
So
going to say there's not been that much trauma happening aside from the pandemic and the riots at the Capitol and stuff.
And if you just, guys that were in the Vietnam War will hate me for saying this, but we really haven't had any major war since World War II, not life or death thing where everybody, gets together and they throw their iPhones in the pile, so they can melt it down so the GIs can have bullets, we haven't had anything like that, so the world has been relatively peaceful for 50, 70 years, I mean, there's skirmishes, there's always going to be conflicts, but I'm talking about major, big time world wars,
Bomb shelters.
Yeah, where the whole country's at stake. So when those times happen, then the society like looks at the hunters sort of like come to the forefront. They need us to go into battle, to create new things, to do
save us. We've been calling
things.
you disabled this whole time and that you have a mental disability, but save us now, dang it. We need people who can think on their feet.
Creative problem solving, please.
Yeah. It's really crazy I like the analogy of the bat. A bat has a disability or a deficit. The bat is blind. And so if there was farmer bats, their solution would be, well, we need to get you to learn how to like be better hunters during the daytime so you could, I know your sight's not very good, but maybe with some corrective surgery, we can help you so you can start to see. In other words, the farmer is always going to look out from their own perspective. Whereas the bat, totally blind, it does this amazing dance where they're doing literally mathematical equations in their brain, calculating because they're bouncing frequencies off of screeches that go out and hit first there's stable objects like a tree, but then there's the insect which is flying, and then there's other bats, and they've got all this stuff mapped out in their brain, the size of the less than an ounce, and we would say that's amazing, that bat has such an extraordinary talent. And yet, if you're dyslexic, you've got a deficit. It doesn't make, and yet so many of these people, and even Steven Spielberg just, came out a couple of years ago and said, hey, I'm dyslexic. I've been, he really discovered he was dyslexic. So many people are like that. And yet there's no recognition for it. They're like coming out like, I'm coming out of the closet, I'm dyslexic, it's like, what, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like we've gotten to a point where people are afraid to say you're dyslexic or you have ADHD or even like you're on the autistic spectrum, because they're like, people are gonna think I'm broken in some way and be all
Well,
like,
that's
"Aw."
nice. See, they're being that in my, I'm a from the baby boomer era. They would just say you're an idiot. I mean, how many times I've heard you're just an idiot because I would do all these, things that weren't in, that were the
On the
accepted
farmer's list.
on the farmer's list of things that you're supposed to do. Oh, Chambers, just being an idiot. You're being crazy. You're a crazy idiot. Um, ah, you know,
Long list.
nut job, nut ball. And
Yeah.
then here's one. Here's another thing that we see if this maps on to YouTube. I would, because I felt I was people would
Disabled.
shame me, or
Mhm.
that's shaming when I say you're an idiot. I tried to get their approval. So I spent a lot of my life trying to get other people's approval, getting people to approve of me. Well, what did I do to get their approval? I would invent these crazy things, like um, I would smoke a cigar with my friends. We were all sitting around, and then I would just turn it around and put it out in my mouth just to be like out there. And they would think, how crazy is that? Well, I was trying to get their approval, like, and then I would hate myself the next day. And of course, my mouth would be burnt and all that stuff. But I would do these stupid things for people I didn't even know or even liked to try to get them to like me. Thank God I'm old enough now where, I actually don't want anybody to like me, just you guys. And that's all.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you do that? Could you relate to that? Trying to seek approval?
of course, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I just want to back up real quick before I forget
Yeah, yeah.
the bat analogy.
Oh, yeah.
You were going somewhere with that I really could relate
Oh.
to, because you're basically saying, even though bats are blind, they are fantastic hunters and
Oh, they're the
navigators.
best.
And it's similar to people with ADD.
Yeah.
Even though they're just easily distracted, that's the first person you want watching your back in a jungle, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
you're playing hide and go seek or capture the flag or trying to run a whole emergency room, you want someone that's paying attention to every single thing that's happening, not just one little corner of the room. You want them
Oh,
bodyguards, you
yeah.
want the bird's eye view, and they're going to give it to you, not someone that's good at sitting still and focusing on who's right in front of them. Like, so just to add to your
Well,
thing.
Yeah.
the
And like
point.
every sports team member, I bet, has a little bit of ADD, ADHD.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
Oh, big time.
So what
It-
some people consider a disability
yeah.
can actually be a gift. Go ahead, Dad. What were you going to say?
About the bat, where I was going with that is the scientific community labels the bat's brain as a design feature of the bat. The ability to use sonar and radar. And the bat doesn't even know how it makes all these calculations, but it just does it without, never taken a math class.
He
And
doesn't shame himself that that's not sitting there going,
Yeah.
damn it,
well, we don't know. Some
you're
might.
no good at
There could-
flying. Those bugs are just going to laugh at you again.
Those bugs are going to laugh at me if I don't catch them.
I'll have to go repeat sonar school for the second
Oh my
time.
God,
Never going to pass.
I'll never pass. But the
Beauty,
same time,
Beauty Pat will never date me.
oh, yeah. If I could have only caught that bug, I would be somebody. Mm,
Oh God.
They're
sad.
so lucky they don't have that internal voice, I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a vet.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
their brain's too
Little
small.
do we
There's no
know.
room for the internal. It seems like I don't know if other animals, I don't, never see an elephant go, damn it, if I would have only gone to the right. I mean, it's just-
Yeah, or like squirrels.
oh yeah, well,
Elephants might be
squirrels.
closer to us than we realize.
Yeah, I'm sure we're direct descendants.
I don't know about squirrels though. Have you seen them solve puzzles?
They get they're smart.
They're
I
mad
don't think they
smart.
shame themselves though.
No. I meant
Yeah.
they're probably pretty creative though.
They got great balance. They
Oh
got
my
Yeah.
squirrels that jump from the roof out to this tree. It's like about a 10-foot jump, and they never fall, you know.
I know. I've
So
got a
we're-
squirrel on my porch that likes to hang his whole body flat and just
Yeah.
like bounce up and down on the branch in the wind. And I always think he's gonna fall. He'll go upside down
yeah,
and do it. And I'm just like, oh my God, well, they'll climb up those 60, 50-foot palm
Nothing.
trees like it's nothing.
yeah.
They're like, no big deal. I'm not gonna fall. What are you, crazy?
You know,
They're-
I
they
just
don't know
thought of
fear.
this, but when you test animals' intelligence, you don't make them do math problems or spell. You test how creative they are and how creatively they can solve a problem. Isn't that
Mhm.
very bizarre that we don't? It doesn't
As
count with
humans that
humans.
way? We should
Well-
do it on humans that way too.
I
Yeah,
I
you're
one
only
time-
smart if you can recite a textbook like a parrot.
That's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
that always got me so mad.
It
You're
was-
a genius.
I know.
Well, you spot it, you got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all geniuses. This is the Genius Podcast.
Hello.
Listeners, you're lucky.
You're welcome.
Laughing at our own jokes. Okay,
we
sorry.
gotta
What
laugh.
were you saying? Go on. You want to get
Well,
down?
you know what happens is that one of those Zoom things popped in front of me, and then I lost my train of thought. That's one of our,
Oh,
you know.
Well, that happened to me too just now.
Yeah.
know what it
hate
said.
that.
what
But
did it say?
back to the bat analogy. I one time I was writing this article and I was using the bat analogy, and I happened to, Kristen, get back here. You're looking away. I have to have your undivided attention. No. I interviewed this doctor, this research scientist, and I asked him about why are there no studies about ADD dyslexic people that are positive? And he said, because we never look for the positive. They don't look for that. They're always looking for the deficit. That's what they're trained to do. They're trained to find the
Problems.
yeah, they're looking out, first of all, from their own eyes. You can never, it's hard to put yourself, empathy, to put yourself in another, they could say they do, but do they really?
Yeah.
That's another category.
Yeah.
And he said they're not trained to
I'm
look,
like 99%.
to look for, like, why isn't there a study of all of these? You'll read about it every once in a while, but the Steven Spielberg's the guy of JetBlue, the guy that Sir Brand, Richard Branson, all of these, there's hundreds of these super entrepreneurs that all are, I'm dyslexic, I'm ADD. Well, why is there no study about that? There's no studies about that. They don't study that.
It's because they see it as, despite your ADD
Yes,
dyslexia, you've
exactly.
been able to do this, instead of because. It can't be your brain's operating differently. It's your brain's deficient, and you're learning how to work around it.
Well,
Like,
Mhm.
you're just that good.
the word is overcome. The word is you've overcome
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
disability.
Yeah.
Words.
There's a girl that graduated from Harvard, and the title of it was Dyslexic Overcomes Her Disability to Graduate. And I just let me go like, nah.
Well, back in the day, being a woman was a disability. So, it's all
Yeah.
relative to whatever. I mean, we have come a long ways, thank God.
Honestly,
Hopefully
being a
it'll
woman
get
is a
better.
disability, if you think about it, though.
With the
That's taking
stigma
us in a different direction.
of
Yeah.
ADD.
Different
Well, I'm
direction.
just saying the stigma of having ADD is that it is only a disability, but like we're discussing now, there's tons of good side effects, if you want to call them that,
Yeah.
from
The
being
side effects of
that
having a
aware and that
deficient-
alert and sensitive to stimulus and things like that.
Well,
Hopefully people will start to embrace more and see it as an attribute, like a good thing.
there's another part of being a woman and being a man that has to do with dyslexia and ADD.
I do think it
Most of the
differs
studies are about
between
boys.
genders.
Most
Yeah.
of the studies are. I'm sorry, what?
I do think it differs between genders.
It differs in genders, but what I'm saying is that the majority of the studies over the years have always been about men or boys.
Yeah.
But and I don't even think they thought women were dyslexic or ADD, because you're all supposed to be perfect spellers. You're always, you can do math, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Really?
Yeah, at least that's what
I
I
thought
grew
the
up with.
opposite. I thought you just, most women back in the day were just supposed to look good and be quiet. Meh.
Well,
Take care of those babies.
okay, let's just say the women that weren't that good looking had to be good in math and science and English,
Yeah.
to get ahead.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I was thinking
And-
about what you said last time, Kristen. On you said you're very like emotionally articulate, like you can like in a conversation, like you really get people, and I feel like that we talked about it then, but it's like a different side to creativity, like the
Yeah.
emotional side, and I feel like women kind of lean towards that when you have ADD versus like guys like Larry, like oppositely, like when you were, in Vietnam, you were really good at probably handling that environment more than
Mhm.
probably a woman can handle that environment too. I'm not saying that anybody, but I feel like women kind of lean towards the emotionally
Well,
intelligent side of the
as-
things.
as I've gotten
I don't know.
older
I kind of related.
to camp onto that, I've noticed in the last, say, 20 years, I've gotten more emotional, right, Kristen? I've gotten more, so I've sort of let that
Touch.
side in, where I've still got, my friends that are just like, vote for Donald Trump. That's the end of the conversation. Bye, boom. Oh, do you want to talk about why, or is there any other side of the equation, or no, there's nothing.
I definitely feel like not being able to have a dialogue about things is kind of a farmer thing. Because
Oh
like
my
if you
God,
can't
yes.
see from other people's perspectives or even like
Yes.
entertain
Mm-hmm.
like other possibilities, because they're very down the beaten path instead of the road untraveled.
They fear change.
Yeah.
They fear change.
Oh, fear change, big
Like-
time fear change.
Fear change.
And we swim in change. I love
The
change.
world is not round. Are you
Yeah.
idiot?
I'm gonna go change my clothes while we're talking right now.
No,
Change the sweater.
no, it's become an X-rated stream. Okay, everybody. I'll
Changing
put
a
that
sweater
down.
is not gonna make it an X-rated. Never mind.
It could. I don't know. I don't know the internet.
She's got jokes, folks.
Yeah.
She's got jokes, little
do.
jokester, little jokey person over there. Okay.
Lucky I didn't use my joke about when we were talking about women, huh?
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Yeah. Never trust something that bleeds for 7 days
Hey.
and doesn't die.
Oh, I've always liked that one. I've always liked that one.
Isn't it great? Whoever
It
thought of
makes me
that?
so tough.
Only hunters think of jokes. Everybody else just uses them. That's all I have
Well,
to say.
Well,
I-
jokes are you gotta have guts to tell a joke.
I'll tell you
Creativity to think of that off the spot, like random things, puns especially.
I was going to say, at least you don't have a T-shirt that says, "I want to be a mermaid." If I see
Hey,
another,
I have that T-shirt.
know
I'm
you
wearing
do.
it right now.
have you ever thought through what being a mermaid would be like underwater?
Yes, I have.
Fun,
For
fun.
like years.
Your
I thought
hair,
about
Yeah.
your hair would
It would
be
be great. It would be
Waving
beautiful.
around
The ocean,
beautifully,
and I'd have
elegantly.
Shells wrapped in it and
Yeah.
seaweed.
seaweed in it, and lice, full of lice, and other, fish would be eating
No.
all of the stuff off your head.
No, not my
And
hair.
you'd have your shell bra as you swam through, and you'd have to
It's
do
gotta be. It
you'd
can't
have
be
to do
less
this,
comfortable than the bra I'm
know.
wearing right now.
the most uncomfortable,
I got that.
uh, what's that? The
The tide.
butterfly to do, swimming.
Uh-huh.
I'd be used to it if I was a mermaid.
Yeah, it'd have great abs.
God, you guys want to be
Fine.
a
Hey,
mermaid?
I would love it.
why don't killer whales have
What about-
barnacles in their hair, huh, Larry? Yeah.
See?
Merman. I want
Yeah.
to be a merman. No,
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have
I probably getting off the
the
subject here.
man's half.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. 'Cause you'd have
When
a
you
tail.
transform into a merman,
Probably
things
merman.
happen.
Again.
Yeah.
things disappear, I guess. According to I don't know though. Again, I'm not an expert in the
You have
field,
to do
but
mermaid research. Our next
Well,
podcast.
I'd
this
have the
podcast has
coolest
gone
mermaid
down
house.
drain
Oh
for-
my gosh. I've already designed it in my mind.
Yeah.
You'd have to swim through a tunnel and come up to get to the house.
Beautiful.
Be super safe. No one would be able to sneak up on me, I'll tell you that.
No,
You could
that's
have
true.
glowing mushrooms everywhere.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
wait, wait. Okay, we're getting too off.
Wait,
There's
wait.
that ADD.
Hi, hi, podcast.
All you have
hi,
to do is
listeners.
throw
Hi.
a word like mermaid into the conversation.
Mhm.
He did that
Yeah,
test, you guys.
yeah.
And see the reaction, and it was
God,
like,
I love.
whoa.
I've seen every single mermaid movie that exists.
Well,
and
let me tell you something about those mermaid movies.
Have you seen H2O?
The Little
Sorry.
Mermaid. First of all, she's a hoarder. You notice that? She's hoarding stuff.
Look at this stuff. I sang
I
that song
mean,
last
I
night.
am too, but you can't.
Literally sang it
think
last
of
night.
Use
All
that
the way through. All the way
toothbrush.
through.
Don't-
Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete?
Oh my
Wouldn't you
god.
think I'm the girl who has everything? Right? Hoarder. Total hoarder, but I love it.
You
It's beautiful.
are a mermaid. I
They're
just
treasures.
realized
They're
it.
treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold?
Yeah.
So you notice
Sorry,
Kristen has a
audience. We're just
really great voice too. She's a
Yeah.
singer as
You
well.
have a beautiful voice. She sent me her songs. Oh my god,
I know.
fabulous! And
Yeah.
podcast listeners, Kristen's the one who sung the song in the beginning and the end of the video. You should look up her channel on YouTube. Beautiful songs. Oh my god, I was blown away. I was like, "Is this your voice? You didn't hire somebody? It's not somebody else doing the
The first time I heard
catching."
Thank you.
Sorry,
First time
I
I heard
keep
Kristen sing, and the father always, you're always getting, even if, like when my son sings, when he would sing, he would just go, ah! And you have to go, oh, that was really great, Logan. I just love your singing. He doesn't care to do anything. The first time, I know it's sad, but Kristen was in a play, and she was the Artful Dodger, and she came out on the stage, and she filled the space with her voice. And I sat back and I went like, oh my God,
Oh my god.
I mean, it blew me away. And I just kicked myself that I wasn't smart enough to get her like coaching and take her to Broadway and do all those things that
Instant Broadway after your third grade play.
Here she is.
right from
She's only 13, folks.
Right from
Let's get her up there on the stage. Come on.
from junior high to Broadway. Kristen Chambers sings the Mermaid song. I want to be a mermaid. Never mind.
Pretty good one.
Okay. Anyway,
I
that's her
mean,
voice.
your voice is beautiful, so why the hell not?
Hey,
That's
I
another
need
conversation.
voices.
That's another conversation. Is parents don't realize when somebody's got a gift, and I've there's a couple of times I've been in a place where I heard somebody sing that I think that person is going to be a star. This is way before like somebody got started, and every time, just when somebody really has the talent to be a star. She's got it, but I didn't. The problem is now life has gone on, and she's married. It's like unless she makes some radical change and lets all of just hyper focuses on music, it's hard. It's hard, when you're creative.
Yeah.
You got so many talents that they pull in different directions, and it's hard to just do one.
yeah. I don't want to pick. It sucks. I know I'm supposed to narrow down and only have one and then get real good at it, but it's so boring to just do one.
So boring.
Yeah. That's the ADHD part of us. We want to do a bunch of things.
Exactly.
And also, I think it's a farmer brain thing to think you can only be good at one thing. You know what? Go for all those things. Make movies, make music, make art, make whatever.
Collages, sculpting.
I tried to do just straight writing for like a year and a half, and I started really getting kind of resentful about it because I'm
I
like,
want to
if
brag
there's
about.
anything I can do all day long, then
I want to brag about Rebecca's writing, because this is
don't.
no, I've got to. I mean,
Yeah.
her dad is my eye doctor, and we went out to lunch. He's a great guy and everything, and she
Shout out, Dad. He watches our podcast.
yeah, well, he's a super guy, and he told me that you were dyslexic and that you wanted to meet. And we had lunch with her dad and her, And that's how we got to know each other. And I said, yeah, send me something. I thought, people will, because they find out I'm a published author, and they'll send me their, 3 pages of really boring. I was a small child living in Bethlehem when the angel spoke to me, and I walked down. That's actually way too
That's
creative.
really cool.
Oh yeah, no,
Never
no.
mind. Never mind.
I'm on
It's like,
board with that.
You're too creative.
I can't even
You
do
have
a
to-
boring story. Anyway, I said, send me something. She sent me this like vampire thing that was, and I was like, oh my God. And it wasn't 1 page, it was like 35 pages or something.
Yeah.
And it was like this whole, and I went like, no, you have got to finish this. And so I'm trying to, she's got a talent, but she doesn't believe she's got this talent. Okay, you want to be a poet. So you sent a poet in, and it got what?
I got a poem
Published.
That was pretty
Even
cool.
the way she
Yeah.
said
I
it,
sent it to you.
did you
The
see
Mo
the way
poem
she
one?
said it? Her voice went down, like you're not
Mhm.
supposed to.
Like that was
brag
an
about-
accident.
Yeah. Well,
They must have made a mistake.
it was just a college kind of like entry
I don't
contest
care.
thing, and they published a bunch of things. I mean, it's not like
Everyone can do it.
that.
Oh,
they-
see, there's that thinking again.
This is the example of the
Mhm.
podcast, the creatively unworthy. You're not worthy of it.
Yeah.
We're not worthy. We suck.
We suck.
Yeah.
We
But
suck.
it's true. It's like you feel so guilty for like, especially since I've had all this time in quarantine. It's like, where's my book, huh? That vampire book? Where is it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think the other problem in
It's
this
closest
is
to being finished as it's ever been, though. I mean, I got the full outline, so it's cool.
The other
Until I
problem-
start writing it.
the problem is also we watch finished movies. We don't see all of the bullshit, all of the hard work,
Yeah.
creativity that goes into movie. No, we just click on Netflix and we see the finished product. So if you're a writer, you're going like, how am I going to compete against
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, like how mine doesn't look anything like this. This is
Yeah.
this is great.
Mine's all laying on the floor, and I got paper over here, and then the cat. I like this idea about when I was a small child growing up in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
I
And then
could
the
go off on
angel
that
spoke
one.
to you. It's like,
an-
what angel?
And the angels came. It's like a new perspective of that story, told from a poor stable boy.
I'm a poor
Maybe you
stable
can
boy.
flip between
You
the
have to
angel
support
and the
stable boy.
person's perspective.
And by the way, the 3 kings were black. I'm convinced of that. And they came in with myrrh, and you know what? And one of the 3 kings had to be from like Wisconsin, or he was like a Lutheran.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, because he brought, what they brought they brought frankincense and myrrh. You know what myrrh is?
Yeah.
It's a casserole. Well, they had to be for Lutherans. So black Lutherans from Wisconsin were in Bethlehem. Anyway,
I didn't
gotta
understand
stop.
any of that. You lost
No,
me
I'm-
after
I'm
casserole.
riffing.
Black Lutherans from Wisconsin. They came
It
to
makes
Bethlehem with the
perfect
whole thing.
sense, damn it.
that's
They
right.
jumped on a train.
That's where they jumped on a train.
Yeah.
But it was back. They had horseless carriages back in the day of Jesus. It was 2,000
Yeah.
years ago, Kristen.
No,
They
no,
had to
I
go
took
back-
him a Rolls Royce, damn it.
Yeah.
He hopped on a spirit flight.
Can you
For 30 bucks.
imagine?
He took a
Yeah.
plane out from Wisconsin.
And the problem was the father of Jesus was like a whip maker for saddles and whips, and then they invented the car, and so he lost his job as a whip. Never mind.
Yeah.
Going too far in the wrong direction.
Oh my gosh.
It's
But
this
that's
whole
that's
podcast.
riffing. That's
Sorry, audience. Hey,
No,
I
you're
just
welcome.
introduced my
What we do.
Instagram to this, so hi Instagram. Sorry for this distraction.
I'm just saying, Kristen,
podcast.
if you read her story about those vampires, you're right there. She brought me right into the layer of vampires.
I would love to read it. I'm a
Yeah.
big Anne Rice fan. I used to read all the interview with the vampire books. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, Lestat. You
So-
should read Baldur's Gate. They have a character named Astarion. He's basically Lestat. Oh my god. I love him so much. He goes, "Hello, I'm a Astarion. Nice to meet you." But he has some weird word thing in your brain. It's the whole thing with the plot, so do you. So he doesn't die in the sun. So he's not a vampire when you meet him. But he's pale with red eyes and fangs. And you're just like,
What?
Hello. Hello, good sir.
Hello, good sir.
You should join my party because I love you.
So
Okay.
we should
Sorry,
do this.
sorry.
We should do this. Because our time is almost up. We should ask
Oh.
people what they want to hear about too, because
Oh yeah, it's great.
you know
Yeah.
what do you want to hear about? I mean, I've been drugged under the car so many times. I've got many subjects that I've carried along in my backpack, or at least I can go out and look underneath the car and see if I can find some of my pens. Come back. But
Ditto.
So we should do that. Ask people what they want to discuss or hear about.
Yeah.
You can leave it in the comment section on the YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
You'd even, if you're watching from Insta, you could DM me and I'll relay the message.
You know, you said I bet a lot of athletes are dyslexic, and I just happened to write down AJ Wilson. She is the women's like basketball MVP, you know, most valuable player in the WNBA. And so they're doing this interview, and she's like this tall girl, black girl, really cute. And she goes, "Yeah, I'm dyslexic." I'm like, "Oh," wrote her name down.
Yeah.
So, you know,
You're like, yes.
these the kind of people we want to get and interview them and ask them what was it like, growing up wherever she grew up, and she's like this
And how being
dyslexic star.
dyslexic.
You know who's another big star that won more gold medals than anybody on the planet Earth? The swimmer.
In basketball, you gotta be
Yeah, well, basketball, yeah.
ready.
But remember,
Didn't you say like 10% of the population is probably dyslexic ADHD? What percentage of the population is athletes? Could be
probably
like
the
world
same.
athletes.
I bet that's a great correlation. I bet you can find it.
Mm,
But the guy that won
Good
all
one.
the medals, what's his name? God, it's going to drive me
we
crazy.
did some good work here today, folks.
Yes, we have. Yes. It's
Yeah.
our podcasts are coming along nicely.
Oh yes, I should say so.
What is his name?
Quite right.
Quite.
And
Quite right. Yeah. So next time we'll see what people want us to talk about. We'll just riff on that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank
Okay,
you for coming. Check out our Reddit, and we're also on Spotify and Apple Play. And yeah, bye.
You're excused, 'cause you're always late, overweight, and totally